Peace and welcome to another episode of Monday Musings with me, your girl, Nicole, Sister Midwife, where I share what's on my mind about finding joy and flow as I build my Black business and raise my free Black girl in this crazy ass world, okay? So I am happy to be back after skipping a week. If you didn't know, last week was Mardi Gras, and my daughter and I participate in the Black masculine Indian culture. We are a part of the Golden Feather Hunters from way downtown with Big Chief Shaka Zulu. And so the only thing that was musing on my mind last week was getting everything ready, sewing, finishing up so that we could come out pretty on Mardi Gras Day. If you are not familiar with the Black masculine tradition in the New Orleans Indians, then you need to look it up. It's a couple of videos on my YouTube channel where you could see a little bit more. That said, today I knew that I wanted to come and share some thoughts on this real need for rejuvenation, pausing, giving ourselves grace so that we can rest and reset between the work. Are you a doula? You a birth worker? Do you want to prevent burnout and be able to serve families for years and years to come? If the answer is yes, sis, you have to schedule breaks between clients and between births. I didn't say you have to take breaks. I said you have to schedule breaks, especially those of you who are working as a doula, also doing a full-time job, raising the children, volunteering for the PTA, cooking for the festivals, and all kind of other things that you are doing in spite of the fact that we only have 24 hours in a day. Sis, real talk, I don't know how y'all do it. That said, as I began to prepare to bring this message, I was also brought back to a presentation that I gave a couple of weeks ago as a part of a webinar with my good brother Kunle Adwale. He is the executive director of the International Arts and Medicine Fellowships and the producer of the Global South Arts and Health Programs. So as a part of these initiatives, I was invited to provide the closing remarks for this year's Black History Month program. The Black History Month program was titled Celebrating Black Labor Through the African Diaspora. Okay, so this online event brought together a number of professionals from all across the globe to answer a number of questions and create dialogue around a number of concepts. How has the African diaspora labor contributed to the economic growth of our current world? Did the African diaspora's labor force undergo shared psychological and physical abuse? Well, we know that it did. And then what is the current impact of the abuse? Is the African diaspora's labor force at a positive crossroads of change? And what are the remedies that can be implemented to support a positive and lasting change? So if you know me, you know that I'm always trying to think positive. And so I was really happy to see that the final questions were about, is there a way that we can implement to support a positive and lasting change? And so, as I mentioned, I provided the closing remarks for this webinar. And as a part of my remarks, I spoke about the reality that colonization fueled capitalism. And I provided during my presentation 3 steps to reject and resist capitalistic ideals that keep us as prisoners in our own lives. And I am going to share those 3 steps today. In addition to that, one thing that I didn't share was the 4th step that I'm going to include in today's Monday Musing. A step 4 that I didn't use 2 weeks ago. So to get into the topic of what I shared 2 weeks ago, we hear so much, so many people saying that they want to be free. Many of us, myself included, some of my coaching clients, we choose entrepreneurship because we are searching for freedom, because we understand that the labor force, the system that most of us are currently laboring inside is holding us hostage. I hear people talk about the golden hand. Girl, I would quit and start my own business, but these golden shackles, these golden handcuffs, with pride, we say this thing, right? As we were colonized and the idea of ownership over things and over people became a common way of being, we were forced into a system that was not ours. So yes, today we still live in this capitalistic world, and I understand that means we are finding ways to earn income, generate income, and do work because we have to buy things and pay for things. We do not have to participate in capitalism to the detriment of ourselves, our ethics, our health, our values, our emotions, and our communities. So, what are some ways that we can easily reject some of these spaces in capitalism? First and foremost, we have to embrace community. We have to create community. That does not mean that everybody that you see, every Black person, got to be a part of your personal community. We all have different ideals and values based on where we were raised, how we were raised. We are not a monolithic people. We are not homogenous. That means that we don't have to all be literally on the exact same line of the freeway, but we're going in the same direction, which is about the liberation of Black people. So just because y'all don't see eye to eye don't mean you have to be a hater on how they do their birth work or how they build community or what books they read or how they speak about different things. If the ultimate goal is the liberation of Black people, and their liberation does not necessarily have to be the same liberation that you think. We're not all the same. But ultimately, if they are not hurting you and they are doing work that is beneficial for the community, don't be a hater. Let them do their path. You do your path. Stay on the train for as long as y'all can stay on the train together. And when you are not on the same train, go get in a different car or hop off the train, get on another train. At the end of the day, as long as we are moving in the same direction about the liberation and the freedom of Black people, then we should be good, right? Once we are in community, once you find your community, then you have the ability to barter. And when we barter, we resist and reject capitalism. When you are in community, you feel more comfortable volunteering and giving back. And when you volunteer and give back and you are not relying everything on this fake dollar that we got, then we are able to resist capitalism. When we are creating susus in our community, we resist and reject capitalism. When we utilize giving circles between our community, we are rejecting capitalism. So number one, find your community. Number two, we must become intentional about our consumerism. Consumerism fuels capitalism. When we are intentional and we begin to find ways to consume less, we are rejecting capitalism. When we buy Black, buy small, buy local, when we reuse and share, we are rejecting capitalism. When we do things smaller, a smaller baby shower, skip the gender reveal altogether, buy a smaller car. When we keep the old thing instead of getting a new thing just because the new thing is available, we are rejecting capitalism. When we buy fewer unnecessary things, y'all, we all got shopping issues. We just be having shit just all around, stacked up in different places. When we begin to buy fewer unnecessary things, we are resisting and rejecting capitalism. When we do less, literally, when we do less, we are resisting capitalism. And when I say do less, I mean literally do less. Go for a walk in the park, sit at your house, meditate, chill, do things that don't cost any financial exchange. I don't mean that you don't live and have fun, but that means that we don't have to do everything, every time, every day, filling up every moment of our free space with stuff to do. Sometimes we need to sit down, and when we sit down, we save money. We are resisting capitalism when we do less. Also, there are other benefits to doing less. Physically, we give our bodies time to breathe and heal. When we do less and we slow down and we pause, we have the opportunity to hear from spirit, to tap into creativity, to have more fun and laughter. So while initially for some people, doing less and not being on the ripping and running and always going, the initial thought of it can feel overwhelming. I have coaching clients who have said to me, I'm doing so much, I feel overwhelmed, but if I do less, I'm gonna feel bored. I'm not understanding that, sis. Do less, feel bored, and use this boredom time to tap in so that you can heal, so that you can hear from spirit, so that you can tap into your creativity. And ultimately, as you do less, you will begin to have more fun, laughter, and joy in your life. I'm a living proof. I done lived it. I bear witness to this thing. Number 3 that I shared on that webinar is that we actually today have the opportunity to decide when and how we want to labor, for how long and for who. Today we can labor for ourselves and create opportunities for ourselves, our growth, and our expansion. And so as you choose how you will labor, the type of work that you will do, make sure that you're choosing work that resonates with who you are. Labor that will allow you to show up as your authentic self. And when you labor, find labor that you can do from a place of love. If you are a Black birth worker, I know it's hard. I know it's hard doing this labor inside of a system that is massively disrespectful, inadequate, and the legacy of colonialization shows up every day. And in this space, it becomes even more important that you do this work from a place of love, not because you hate the system, not because you hate the people that you hate, but because you love the people and the community that you are working with, not because you hate the doctors and the hospitals and the policies, but because you love the mamas and the babas and the babies. And then fourth, and I didn't share this in the webinar from 2 weeks ago, so you're getting the extra one. Fourth, we have to build, schedule, plan for rest, renewal, and recuperation into our workflow. We have to plan for it. You know, I find that we often forget that we are a part of nature. Everywhere in nature, things flow in cycles. And a part of that cycle, there is time for receding, for going inward, for slowing down so that things can be repaired and rejuvenated. The trees go dormant. The animals go in hibernation. The moon has a cycle. The ocean ebbs and flows. We too have cycles, and this should not be forgotten. We too have seasons that encourage rest and rejuvenation. There is a time to work and a time to sow and a time to rest and a time to reap. Too often we work against our cycles and we push ourselves further and further than we need to be pushed because we are grinding inside of capitalism. So I want to encourage you to schedule in the breaks, schedule in the free time. Make plans for your day offs, not just because you deserve them, but since you really do need them. And when you schedule the time off ahead of time, you can plan ahead and you can work around it, allowing your business to thrive longer and more easily. It's when you pretend that you don't need to slow down, when you don't schedule it in, and then those unplanned days come when you don't have no choice but to take a break, and now you have havoc and chaos in your business. Whether you schedule it or not, your body will eventually take the time, and you already know that when the universe makes you sit down, it's not fun. So for me, the scheduling of the reset looks different depending on the event or the production. The number of days, what I do during that time can look different. Last week after Mardi Gras, it looked like having an autoresponder on that went on like 4 or 5 days, like the week prior to Mardi Gras, letting people know that I was not going to really be tapping in until today. It also looked like cleaning up my calendar, blocking my calendar off to ensure that the days after Mardi Gras, I had time to clean up my house, to organize, do dishes, make groceries, all of the things that had really gotten neglected because I was in full production mode, preparing for Mardi Gras. For me, it also looked unapologetically saying I wasn't available until this week, next week, meaning this week, right? Sometimes learning to create this space, not returning emails immediately, using an autoresponder, blocking off your calendar, all of those things, it could be scary. And I get it because I didn't get here overnight. I've been working on this thing of slowing down. We think to ourselves, what if I miss an important email, miss a deal, miss a client, miss something important, miss some money, right? Miss an opportunity. But what I can tell you is that my experience has shown me that this is a false fear. You know, we always like to say, what's for me is for me. If it's for me, I'm going to have it, la, 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 la. But then we walk in fear that we might miss something. If you really believe that what's for you is for you, sis, move like it. Know in your soul that you will be invited to and included in the things that are in alignment with your purpose and your highest good, period. Walk with that knowing. Take your breaks, rejuvenate yourself so that you can be ready when the invitations come. All right, y'all, that's all I got. As always, take what you like and leave the rest. Until next time, peace.